all for being in attendance tonight. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
No, we don't.
All right, could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
So moved by Raleigh. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by David. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, public comments? No one? All right, we're going to move on to 6.0.
Level recognition.
Oh, level recognition,
Our
sorry.
dance team is heading to state. So
Yay!
first time in 16 years. So
When do they compete? This weekend?
Friday.
Friday?
So
Okay.
Valentine's, our sweethearts are going to be out on the floor.
All right. Well, good luck to the Rebel Dance team. That's awesome. Let's see, 6.0 reports, board committee reports. Anybody have any committee
Yep.
meetings?
We had operations today, and we went over going through the options of leasing a pickup versus trying to trade in and purchase a new one. We need something large enough to haul the skid steer and trailer. And so we're gonna start looking into those options. Anybody want to add anything on that?
The old truck is, it's time. It was more to rebuild it than it's worth. So,
I sat in on, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, if you're still doing it.
Then Sandman has given us an updated map on the roof totals, how much we can tolerate on the roof at the Glyndon site. We are gonna keep tabs on that if there's any sort of snowfall, especially in this area above the high school offices. The guys have a plan in place to be up there and getting that off, so we don't have to cancel school. And then, in addition to that, we just talked about possibly purchasing a snow bucket for the skid steer, which I think James is gonna look into some of those options. Anything to add?
All right, Laura, you had a committee?
I was just going to say that I sat in on the Birth to 5 meeting, but then I see Joe and Margot's outline, so, I mean, they'll go over what
You're
was
gonna get that
discussed.
pretty hard.
So, I attended that last week.
And then we had an oversight committee meeting last week, and Raleigh, Ronnie, and I were there and went over the plans so far for the school, what it looks like, and just moving forward. The next one's on the 14th of February. No,
No,
the Friday after.
yep.
Okay.
I just got a couple updates on that. The main thing seemed to be that, a lot of the plans, we've been doing a lot of refiguring what we're doing, and we may not be able to afford everything that we're looking at. So, we're looking at different options for that too. And I thought it was very informative, and staff and administration's done a good job of redoing things and figuring out what's what. And that's not my area, trying to figure out new stuff. Mine is more of a troubleshooter if I see areas that I think could be trouble down the road, or just, issues, I'd like to bring that up. And, I'm seeing three different things right now, but they're being worked on. Dilworth site, I was always worried about what's gonna happen with the playground on the south side with snow, so we gotta figure out how we're gonna get in to get the snow removed when the snow comes. And the other one is they kind of rejockeyed, and got rid of the boardroom, commons room, whatever, in the north end. And in my own mind, I'm still thinking we maybe need a concessions area there on that one. So it's just one thought to look at. The Linden site, I think you guys had, maybe Amy had left too, we were just started talking about traffic flow for the buses, how we're gonna run the buses, how are you gonna do it, how are you gonna do the elementary that comes into Linden site and gets transported, where we're gonna drop them off, all of that stuff with the public coming in there too. Only other one is Raleigh and Mar swimming pool issue, so.
we have one issue with one spot, but the rest of them is that it's a 12-foot hole. That kind of bugs me. We'll see.
And we may not have money to do that either, so, I think the staff and them did a really good job of figuring out what needs to be done for the kids, the best priorities, and we need to look that over and see, do we need to tweak it? The architect would like to get rid of the community room, boardroom on the south end of Glendon, and I'm thinking that may not fly with the public or us, but I don't know, that's just a thought. So, things to look at down the road. But it was a very good meeting. I enjoyed that, finally figured out what was going on.
And then we do have, Dan and I have been in contact, and we have a meeting set for February 25th at 6. I offered 6 a.m. He didn't take the bait on that.
So you need his beauty rest.
So we appreciate you all coming. So, any other board reports? No? All right, so next up we have Dilworth Elementary School report. And are you going to do both Dilworth and Glyndon together? Yep. Okay. So the elementary report from both sites.
Right, since we talked a whole bunch last time, we're going to make this one short and sweet. So, huge shout out to Tracy and Eileen, the Glyndon-Felton Elementary and the high school today. Did our buses on park today, and it went awesome. We didn't have a lot of issues whatsoever. The bus drivers were really happy. Again, Tracy and Eileen did a really good job of the logistics and those kinds of things. And it was fun to see the change, but I think it's going to be really good. Again, we talked about on January 20th was our professional development day for our staff. We are working with the regional centers of excellence in the process of how to combine, looking at how we're going to be combining schools, teachers, those kinds of things. Also working with data over the next year and a half to get some of that training, get all of our teachers on the same page. And so we had the Regional Center of Excellence here, talked to the staff that were here on January 20th about some of their ideas and how we can use their ideas and help with MDE to move forward in that transition.
And then this will be kind of old hat for Ronnie, Amy, and Raleigh kind of heard this, but as far as the referendum plan goes, on January 31st, Marlo and myself sent out to our entire staffs the most recent updated maps with the instructions to basically go to the site team, because we had a site team meeting set up the next week. Any questions, concerns, bring it forth. Our site teams met, kind of whittled down to, from the site team as far as recommendations. All those were brought forth to the Birth to 5. So from the Birth to 5, once again, we talk about all the issues that were brought forth to come to a consensus, which were then brought forth to the Oversight Committee meeting, which we had last Friday. Some of the topics as far as the elementary is concerned was staff lounge, keep the bathrooms out of it. Sinks with drinking fountains was a priority amongst the staff at the elementary. Relocation of the social worker's office into the elementary admin office, where the workroom is currently located on the updated plan. Keep the current lunch options like they are. They don't want to spread out with multiple lunch options with the elementary, because that can get tricky. But looking forward to a different way to increase the flow in the lunchroom as we will add more elementary kids. The salad bar is one, and a sandwich line, so that would kind of help with the flow in there. Create another door, that also goes along with the flow. Reconfigure the community room into a workroom and storage for the teachers, so the teachers would have their own resource kind of room away from the hustle and bustle. Shift the bathrooms down and add staff bathrooms next to it down in that main, the main entrance coming in with the vaulted, they'll have community bathrooms and there will be some staff bathrooms, as well as look at cost-friendly ways to soundproof those kindergarten rooms on the south side where the playground's going to go. It's kind of an unknown. Everyone's kind of thinking that, yeah, it's going to be a little bit distracting and noisy, so they want to come up with some possible options to help with that for the staff members that are in those rooms. So.
And I think during the meeting, it's safe to say a lot of that stuff creatively got addressed by the administrative staff and the architects and stuff, so there's new changes to the map, so when you guys get them again, just take another look.
What was
A lot
decided on the
changed.
concession stand for the elementary?
They were going to draw that up because there would still be room, because the workroom, I think, is going to shift from, instead of running north and south, it would shift east and west.
Yeah.
Then we get that extra FIAD office in there, and there would still be
There'll be a spot there.
a block on the end for that. So that would be an option, storage, concessions, whatever we need it for.
Well, it was cool to see the process going from staff, like everybody had access to the elementary maps, get that feedback, go to the site leadership team, get that feedback, then go to the birth to 5, get that feedback, go to admin. I mean, we had so many consensual decisions made before we got to admin, or recommendations, and it just worked out really, really well. And we were, made sure people could, put their input in and go from there. So we like the
Some of it's gonna cost, and some of it's a wash.
Yep. And we saved some money, Raleigh. We did find some savings.
Yes, yep. Tiny saved it, and Mary Ann spent it.
Yep. It's not here. Yep.
That's why I did that.
Do you have any questions for us, Paul?
So the updated maps, are they on the drive?
The latest ones we have, but any updates to the map based on Friday's meeting, they're working on it. Because right now, like they said, it's trying to make sure that they can have the square footage to be able to have both the workroom, the fire offices, and the concessions. And it sounds, should be able to do all of it with that.
Architect was down to just all hand drawing, squares, writing in hand notes and everything changes so he could go back and work on it, so.
The hardest part is still going to be is, the oversight committee, when we saw those numbers initially on how many square feet we're over, and, then you start looking at, okay, if it's light construction, and what's the cost per square foot on that compared to, by the time you get to heavy remodeling. It will be a process of having to keep on, bringing it in. What's of most importance and who's it affecting and all those fun things. So, you've been down that road before.
So we all have a copy of what you want to talk about in your piles.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
All right, superintendent report.
So a few things. There's a lot of paperwork right now that some of you know we've been doing regarding the bonds. So the closing of the 2020 bond will be tomorrow. It's on schedule for the 11th, and then we'll get a packet back from them once they've closed all the documents. And that's for the 30 million, the big bond. So, which came in, again, good savings on that one based on the interest rates, so waiting for that to get closed. I don't know if many of you have had a chance, if you get a chance to read through the MREA report that came out. That was a very good study on the statewide differences and the rankings on the state's rankings as far as determining not just the readiness for schools, but basically going from cradle to workforce as far as which ones had the most opportunities, provide the most. And they had a number of indicators that they had in that. So that was a nationwide study done. Minnesota ended up currently is 5th in the nation, behind Massachusetts and a couple of the other ones that, this is talking about opportunities for all students and not just looking at particular areas, whether it be four-year college bound, it's trades, everything else. So it's a good article. Plans, again, timeline plans from our admin cabinet. So during February, the principals are working on a survey for staff as far as for site preferences and what else not. That'll go out. So as we go through the process of determining who's going to be where and all those things, we'll start with that. So we get feedback from all the certified staff on it. The decisions will be a process this spring yet, the decisions on, and we're talking about for fall of 21, as far as which sites. So decisions on the buildings that people will be in with determined yet this spring, and we'll lay that out in April. And then, of course, the grade levels, room assignments, all of that will take place next year, once we've dug a little deeper into it. And they'll have to determine through site leaderships and what else not, what process they want to use for it. Some handouts that, or before I get the handouts, again, a couple meetings that we need to make sure that we get committee meetings on policy, we've got to get that scheduled. We have a number of items, including the open enrollment capping, that before we get too far into, again, we're still not even close to any limits on kindergarten, but I probably have signed off on, I would guess 30, probably 30 for kindergarten for this fall. So if we're going to make some changes in that transition, we've got to change that policy to be able to make that work. So we should have a policy committee meeting, and then we also need to have a meeting, and I think it makes probably the most sense to wait until we get done with our negotiations meeting on the 25th to make some decisions on the early retirement requests with certified staff, because again, how some of that may factor into it, who knows? So we've got 30 days to be able to get back to all of those people that put in for a potential early retirement on what the offer would be from the board. So there's a little bit of time for it, but we need to get the meeting sometime after the 25th and then in a short period to move that along.
Do we need to have it before the first board meeting in March?
We should have it before that meeting, yes.
So we should just pick a date.
Yeah.
So it's on the calendar.
Exactly. So when we get done tonight, we
Yeah.
hit the break and all that, and let's just get these meeting dates set up so we can put those out.
Okay.
Now, a couple handouts. This is some good news. I think it's some opportunities that we have, that have been presented to us as a district. This first one that you're getting, and we have it all lined up. So AASA, so the National Superintendent Association, they've been working with the U.S. Department of Education. Last summer, there was funds put at the federal level to work on initiatives associated with youth apprenticeships. And of course, the idea is as we talk about the trades, so the idea is you can have apprenticeships where the students can actually be earning money and credits at the same time. So we have been invited, and I've accepted it. This is all paid for by AASA, so we don't have local costs associated. We can have up to 3 people. I've talked to Heidi and I've talked to Katie. So as we work on some of these initiatives, this will go hand in hand with it. I've turned down the first youth summit for this because it was right when we were smack dab in the middle of our referendum, like the week before it. So I didn't think that was a good time to go to Denver, which was the location. And the next one was during our leadership conference. So again, I had to call them and say, I got to turn it down. I got to be down there for that. But they said, we'll let you know if there's going to be a third one. There is. It's in Chicago this time. These are quick down and backs, okay? These are not sightseeing tours, as you can see, because they start you basically fly into Chicago on Wednesday, start meetings at 8 o'clock in the morning. They go until about 9 o'clock, and then the next morning you start again in the morning, and then you're done by noon, and you get on the plane and come back. So but what you're getting out of it is they've invited 50 school districts, 50 superintendents, 50 school districts to attend this. And so a lot of this is about getting those contacts, because these are all school districts that are looking at career centers and career academies and what else not. And notice they're paying for the flights for all 3 people, they're paying for the rooms and the meals. So this is completely picked up through federal money, working with the National Superintendent Association. So that first page was the overview on it. And the next few pages, I know you got to get your reading glasses out because the print is really, really small, but I had to do this to be able to get, sometimes when you're taking it off the internet, you got to get it squeezed in to get otherwise you lose those words on the outside and on the edges. But this is a really, really good foundational article, and it has links in there so that you can look at some of these apprenticeships that are going on in other locations. So when you get a chance, it is, it's some good reading on, because this, again, at these conferences, what they're doing is they're bringing in students that are in these apprenticeship programs, so that the students are on a panel and they can be interviewed about what their experiences were like for it. So I'm really looking forward to this. Again, it's going to be a quick one that will be very event-filled, but I think it'll give us some good context for as we're moving forward with the Career Academy. Then, again, hand in hand with this work on the 6 to 12, the next one, and these are two-page handouts, so if you want to pass these around, this is associated with MREA. Some of you may remember when I came back from the national conference, I mentioned about how at the national level, Profile of a Graduate is probably the most nationwide effort, consistent effort on looking at what we're doing with career planning for students. Minnesota is a little bit behind on that, as we found out at the national. MREA is taking the lead with it, which is great. So MREA is kicking in a lot of bucks to make this happen. We'll take district level staff development bucks to be able to help support this. And then what will happen, starting next fall, there will be a number of school districts that will all get the training together at the same time. And so this whole process about some of the visioning for kids and this all goes hand in hand with community, because you have to have community involvement, students, staff, parents, all of that, which would be the perfect year before we get the building project done. So the timing is wonderful, and we are already accepted for it. So they'll start it sometime in the fall, and it will run August through December. So the site leadership teams and then the 6 to 12 leadership will have discussions on this. So I want to give you a heads up on it. How's it look?
All right, thank you.
There's some exciting stuff in that area.
All right, we're going to move on to 7.1, approval of the January 27th, 2020 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved by Amy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Sandy. Any questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Number 8.1, consent agenda, claims and accounts.
$89,169.34.
Going to approve the resignation of Tiffany Thomas, paraprofessional, effective January 31st. Approve the resignation of Kayla Walker, food service, effective February 10th. Approve the resignation of Betty Benson, speech teacher, effective the end of 2019-2020 school year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I think Ronnie had it first. And second, you want to second it, Sandy? Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New one, unfinished business, 9.1. Now, this is a resolution directing the administration to make recommendations for reductions in programs and positions and reasons. This is something we do every year. It's a standing resolution, so I'm going to let Amy go ahead and read that resolution, please.
Resolution directing the administration to make recommendations for reductions in programs and positions and reasons thereof. Whereas the financial condition of the school district dictates that the school board must reduce expenditures immediately, and whereas this reduction in expenditure must include discontinuance of positions and discontinuance of curtailment of programs, and whereas a determination must be made as to which teachers' contracts must be terminated and not renewed, and which teachers may be placed in unrequested leave of absence without pay or fringe benefits and affecting discontinuance of positions. Be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District Number 2164 as follows. That the school board hereby directs the superintendent of schools and administration to consider the discontinuance of programs or positions to effectuate economies in the school district, and reduce expenditures, make recommendations to the school board for the discontinuance of programs, curtailment of programs, discontinuance of positions, or curtailment of positions. Can I get a motion?
Can I get a motion? Motion by Ronnie, is there a second?
Second.
Second by David. Since this is a resolution, we'll need a roll call. Raleigh?
Aye.
Sandy?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Laura?
Aye.
David?
Yes.
And Ronnie?
Aye.
All right, 7-0. All right, 9.2, high school course guide. This you guys went over the last meeting that I wasn't able to attend, correct?
Well, actually, this is back in December, I think
Back in
December,
December.
it's been out to.
Okay.
And again, the main thing is, we know that courses may be added, it's not a question about that, but the main thing with the course guide, why it's so critical right now is because it has those graduation requirements for the class of each of them that they're trying to do registration with right now. So we need the board to actually approve this so that those recommendations are done and they can do their registration.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Amy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Laura. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9.3, non-certified contract. This is a contract for, non-certified contract for Kayla Walker, paraprofessional, at $15.56 an hour, effective February 11th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Raleigh. Is there a second?
Check.
Second by Sandy. Any discussion?
Should she just move from food service to Farrell?
Yep. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9.4, non-certified contract for Nicole Verdi, paraprofessional, $15.56 an hour, effective February 3rd of this year. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Amy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by David. Anybody have any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so 10, future agenda items. We have a fiscal personnel committee meeting on Monday, February 25th at 24th, I'm sorry. 25th is negotiations. 24th, fiscal personnel here in the high school media center. Board meeting following at 6, then we'll have negotiations on the 25th of February at 6. And then afterwards, those on policy, which I believe is Amy, Raleigh, and Laura, can you guys come up with a date to meet with Brian to work on the open enrollment policy? And then we will look at talking about the early retirement packages and getting that on the date. Is there anything else anybody needs to add for meetings?
Got the thing from Tracy about next Monday night's game?
Oh, yes, yep, if anybody's available next Monday at the boys' basketball game, they'll be recognizing the School Board Recognition Week, so if anybody's able to attend, it's senior night also, so come support our seniors, and yeah, I think that's it. All right, this meeting's adjourned at 6:28. Thank you all.
If you